Hey guys, we have Venus moving to the sign of her exaltation, which is Pisces, on March the 11th to April the 4th. And this is going to open up a corridor of goodness, maybe luck, prosperity, certainly love and higher love in all of our lives during her yearly journey through the sign that belongs to Jupiter. When Venus is exalted, she's on good behavior, especially powerful and most adaptable to working the magic of the Pisces waters. And of course, she is co-present with Neptune, who's been there since 2011. And this brings us into the really strange realm of mystical, magical, sacred, and divine love as well. Soulmate love, if you like. So we're going to talk about how this plays out for everybody. Your sign is your rising sign most accurate, sun and moon secondary during Venus is exalted sachet swimming marathon through the sign of Pisces from March the 11th to April the 4th. Now, when she's doing this dance, she's doing some other interesting things that we must talk about. She will come into a T-square with Juno and Athena. It's pretty intense energy around the 19th of March. She does conjunct with Saturn. Love is enduring, love is hard, love is lasting, love is a marathon. Around the 21st of March, she will come into a surprise, her luck and money around the 27th, 28th in March in her connection with Uranus. And at the end of it all, she goes into her holy divine communion with Neptune. And that's a lot to say about this transit of Venus. Those are the big highlights. And she's in a glorious mutual reception with Jupiter, which we will discuss. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system, and I love the fixed stars and minor asteroids. If that kind of thing turns you on, then come join me in my regular 30 or so videos every month where I go into the all signs version of whatever is happening in the sky, because I'm trying to help you time your best life using astrology as a navigational tool. Want to learn how to do this for yourself? Then come to my Sky Reader class. We're starting up again for the 5th time this April. It's a 6 weeks course. It's live classes with me, replays, and evergreen access to the content at my teaching platform. If you can't make those classes, weekly Q&As and a Facebook group as well. And so it is a high-touch community where I'm teaching you basically the basics of astrology, then adding to that some really cool and not too hard to learn timing techniques, right? 3 very powerful tools you can use. This is ancient astrology. We're not using modern tools. We're using Time Lords. Yes, we'll talk about transits. Ideally, you come into this class with some basic astrology knowledge. Yes, I teach the houses and the signs and the planets, but basically you come in with a cursory understanding of astrology, right? If you're completely a newbie, maybe you're going to be a little overwhelmed. So, you judge you. If you're watching astrology videos on the regular, you're probably good to go. All right, so now here's what I think. In the description box under the More button, you can get in the wait list for that. The tuition cart will open up in the 3rd week of March. Okay, so here we are coming into a time when peace has been missing in the world. We've been feeling absolutely war weary, right? Everyone can admit to that. Let's just be real. Venus is the goddess of peace, and she will be moving into Pisces. And this is a sign of her exaltation. And if you don't know what an exaltation it's a place where a planet is doing her superwoman vibe. I mean, or in this case, Venus or her. It's literally like the most exalted and juicy place for her to live through. I want to show you what an exaltation table looks like. I think I can share my screen the way I want to share it. Let me see if it'll let me share a picture. Yeah, I think it will. Absolutely. So this is just an exaltation graphic. And I thought I'd just teach you a little bit before you go ahead and do the all signs. And I may talk a little bit about world events as well. And by the way, in the all signs, I'm really going to focus, I think, on this kind of Venus opposite Juno square Athena critical turning point that may be occurring for many of us around the 19th of March when it comes to significant agreements, contracts, vows and oaths and alliances. So we're going to talk about that as well as a sweet little afterglow touch about how that time of the month on the 21st, she comes into that sextile to Jupiter. Now, if you want to see this, this is a thema mundi. It's a world chart in the ancient tradition in which the first house is not Aries, but indeed the sign of the temple of the moon, Pisces, Cancer. And so this is the ancient world chart, the chart of the birth of the world. And it's interesting to note that there is Venus, right, up here in Pisces in what would be the ninth house of the birth of the world, right? This is the first house. Count around, that's 9. The house of God, temples, worship, spiritual philosophy, wisdom. This is the house where we lean into our dharma and our life's purpose and the meaning of our life. It's a metacosmos, spiritual, between the worlds house in the ancient tradition. Venus is exalted in a spiritual temple house, not in a den of prostitution, not in a sexy one-on-one, not making babies. She's in this very high and holy place in the sign of her exaltation, which is Jupiter's sign. Jupiter owns in the ancient tradition, not Neptune, the waters of Pisces. You might notice that Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. This is a water trine flow between these planets. Some of you know a little bit about the sect and what sect lights are. If you're born at night, your sect light or luminary is the moon, and team U is Venus and Mars, the lesser malefic and the lesser benefic. Mars, lesser malefic, Venus, lesser benefic planets. Our team you as a night baby, it means the sun is sitting below the ascendant descendant axis of your chart, or in the night time of your sky when you were born. And when you look at that, you can notice something fascinating, is that the moon, exalted in Taurus, which is Venus's sign, by the way, is in a sextile to Venus, and Venus is in a sextile to Mars. Well, Venus is a specialty gal. All sextiles are the nature of Venus, and she is flowing to both the lesser malefic and the lunation, or the moon, which is the nighttime babies, okay, sect nighttime babies, Timas, okay? But on the other hand, you'll notice Jupiter, daytime babies, right, is also connecting in a trine energy, a flowing energy, to Saturn, which is team night baby. And, there's this energy. Did I say flow? My brain is not online today. A square to team nighttime baby, Saturn exalted in Libra, and a square to the sun in the sign of Aries. And so there's just kind of an interesting dynamic where the night team is in a square relationship, where the day team is in a square relationship, where the night team is in a sextile relationship to each other. But this is why Venus is exalted in Pisces, in the sense that when we talk about her mystical, magical, holy, divine love, higher love, soulmate love energies, it really is connected to, in the thema mundi, she's in the house of God. Whereas in an Aries rising chart, you'd say she was in the 12th house. Maybe jails, wardens, insane asylums, isolation, self-undoing, far off places. But I mean, it really makes much more sense to put her in the 9th house and understand her exaltation as a divine elevation energy, right? She's in a place of the holy of holies. Okay, so let's do a little short run over for you people here listening today who are born with the Venus Pisces placement. It doesn't matter what house, we're just going to talk about the generalities of Venus Pisces energy. So if you're born with a Venus in Pisces in the sign of her exaltation, where she is a very beautifully mystical, magical, soulful being looking for higher love, soulmate love, and divine love, you're going to notice that you're often disappointed in life. You're kind of questing for this perfect union, this holy union that may not exist so easily on planet Earth in the mortal coil that we inhabit. So sometimes I've noticed, especially with men, they'll marry women who become celibate or renunciate, or they don't really have a really good sex life with their wife. And with women, they're really looking for that dreamy poster child of soulmate love. It's often almost like being trapped in the fantasy of what is possible, and sometimes having a hard time when it comes to romantic love, getting down with the grit of domestic and daily life, raising kids, running a family. So Venus and Pisces people are picky, and they're also not players. They're looking for their dream come true when it comes to love. So if that's you, you might have experienced some of the disappointment that comes from having such an elevated and sort of mystical and larger than life Venus placement. Now, because I love the energy of the Venus exaltation anyway, just because if it's not something you're living with in your natal chart, it brings something good to us all. I thought I'd talk a little bit from Renn Butler's The Archetypal Universe about what happens when you have a Venus Neptune energy, because that to me is what the exaltation is about. In modern astrology, they say that Neptune's a higher octave of Venus. I don't know if that's true, but Neptune and Venus do have similarities in common. People born with Neptune Venus connections are are often very creative, artistic, magical, and mystical beings. But in his book, The Archetypal Universe, Renn Butler does say this. He does say that people with Venus-Neptune connections in their chart are gentle, endearing, spiritual ideals and love and friendship, feelings of melted ecstasy. Whatever melted ecstasy is, it sounds like a marshmallow to me. Melted ecstasy, devotion for the beloved. Oh yes, it's sacred love. Come on, guys, get Sting's song out. Sting's song "Sacred Love" is classic, quintessential Venus, Neptune, but also exalted Venus. Tendencies in the shadow side of, illusions, confusion, over deceptions, over idealizations in relationships that lead to disappointment. And here's a couple of quotes that he's come up with for people who have this in their chart. So the old Brian Wilson song, because he's Venus trine Neptune, God only knows what I would be without you. Should I try to sing it? God only knows what I'd be without you. And who else? A quote by Nietzsche, who has a Venus-Neptune conjunction. A Venus-Neptune conjunction, I think is what I'm looking at. In true love, it is the soul that envelops the body. In true love, it is the soul that envelops the body. These are all mystical, exotic, spiritual, exquisitely refined versions of Venus, yearnings for, the unattainable, impossible love. So now when she's in Pisces for the world, it doesn't mean we're all looking for love. It means something for everyone that's a little bit different. Let's go over and take a look at the chart before we hit the all signs and talk about it. And if you're new to my channel and want to give me a like and subscribe, or if you're watching in the premiere and you're one of my regulars, give me a shout hand, subscribe, like, and share the video. Help me flourish so that this channel grows, so that I continue to create this content for you on the 3 times a week content that comes out from me. So I am going to be walking the El Camino, by the way, coming up this May, June. You might be seeing a little bit less content from me in the month of June while I'm out on a pilgrimage. So Venus exalted in Pisces, a pilgrimage, a sacred journey, Venus going off to the temples, getting the deep dive into her soul. So here we have just a sky up here, right? It's just set for Leo. Just don't worry about that. But here we have Venus at 0 degrees, moving in around, close to around almost 4 in the afternoon, 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, Vancouver, Canada. The actual time of the movement of the sign isn't as important as the fact she's here from March 11th to April the 4th, and Mars will catch up with her and enter in there around the 23rd of March. So she's traveling with She's traveling with Mars from the March 23rd to April the 4th. Okay, the cosmic lovers will be together in Pisces, but we'll be doing a whole video on that as well. And as she's moving through the sign of Pisces, she's destined to bump into a few characters, as you can imagine. She's going to talk to Jupiter. That's around the 21st to the 24th, as she's also co-joined here with Saturn. So that's a very beautiful and intense energy to do with enduring love and higher love, connected to themes where Jupiter sits in the Taurus part of the sky. And you'll also notice that she's going to connect in a very intense energy with Juno, who's been hunkered down retrograde in the sign of Virgo. This is moneta, money, coinage, but Juno also can represent committed love and marriage type partnerships, or committed vows in business relationships as well. And when she's going to come into an opposition to Juno, yeeks, that's around the 19th of the month. And at the same time, she squares the goddess of victory and strategy in war, Athena. Sparks might fly, and some of you might come into a breaking of a relationship at that time. We'll talk about that too as we go through this together today. Now, the other thing I want to mention, though, is we're in a time of war, and Venus has been a part of that narrative, like it or not. And basically this because the war in the Middle East started from eclipses in Libra, where the South Node was traveling over Israel's ascendant back in October. Venus traveled over through that territory as well as Mars last fall, creating a calamitous war that we're now well embroiled in as I record this video for you on March the 7th. My Patreon community gets this early access ad-free. Check it out below. Come try me out for $5 a month. I got a ton of perks for you there. And if you don't like it, don't stay. But nonetheless, knowing that you would get this earlier might be just enough of a perk without the ads. But anyway, the gist of what I'm trying to let you guys understand here is that Venus is trying to bring peace whenever she can, right? Yes, she's now in her morning star iteration. I mean, she has been for the last 7 months visible in the morning, and in the ancient tradition, she's more of a warrior in her morning star iteration. She will be born into her sensitive, more demure and peace-loving evening star iteration in June, on June the 4th, when she goes into the heart of the sun and becomes visible in late July. So unfortunately, my feeling for peace in the Middle East, no, I don't think so. Not while she is not only invisible for a few months, which she is invisible when she's too close to the sun, which she is invisible in March and April and May and June and July. I mean, she's quite invisible. Well, April, May, June, July, end of July, she's visible again. Even astronomers have remarked is quite invisible for those 4 months. It'd be hard to see peace happen with invisible Venus, right? But on top of that, she basically is in the morning star story. She's a tired warrior goddess, really, and she won't move into her place of the evening star, as I said, and visible until the end of July. Finally, she is coming into a star point at 14 degrees of Gemini on June the 4th. That is interestingly about the brothers, right? The twins, Castor and Pollux. And often when we see wars like Ukraine, Russia, or the Palestinian or whatever, and the Israeli people, which are neighbors, right? They're neighbors and brothers. Neighbors and brothers is a Gemini thing. And she's going to star point there on June the 4th at 9.5 months. There will be a big attempt by Venus to roll out peace between the warring countries in the world if they're brothers or neighbors to each other. So that's obviously Ukraine, Russia, and that's obviously Palestine and Israel. Okay. So in the meantime, the United States politics is all over this chart. Just in case you want to know, this is mundane astrology. I promise I will get to your chart and your sign and your own personal stuff. But think about it for a minute with me. Just hold the space with me, kind of jive in with what I'm about to share. In the United States, it is a Sag rising. That's Biden's rising. That's the United States rising. It's also Netanyahu's rising. So Biden, USA, and Netanyahu under a lot of intense pressure on the 19th of the month of March. End of story, period. It's about breaking contracts, strategies, victories, wars. It's tough. Doesn't look good. When we're talking about Netanyahu, for example. But when it comes to the United States, this means that what's happening in this exalted energy in the 8th house is the 4th house of the United States of America Sibly natal chart. Ascendant here, let's make it easier for you to show you the United States chart by moving us back or forward a few hours. So we can look at the sky from the perspective of the USA Sibly chart, okay? And Netanyahu's chart. It's a Sag rising right here, okay? The goddess of strategy and victory in war, Athena, sitting here, Netanyahu's chart, Biden's chart on their ascendant, also in the Sibly chart, 12 degrees rising, a Sibly chart for the United States of America. And at the time that we're seeing Venus doing her exaltation gig, she's in the 4th house of the USA. The 4th house of the USA is representational of the party that opposes the party in rulership. The Democratic Party is the 10th house, ruled by Mercury, and the bottom of the chart, right, is going to be Pisces, and that's the Republican Party. Now, a lot of you, I kind of try to simplify the chart, but let's put Mercury in here because he is the ruler of the USA ruling party right now up here, and that is Joe Biden. Now, Juno represents partnerships, including president, vice president, and there's going to be a very big tension in the sky from Venus opposite Juno, square Athena on the 19th, and we may see something changing in the Biden-Kamala Harris storyline, like Biden stepping away for health challenges and maybe Kamala taking over by herself, for example, just one way it could play out. And it's a contract in the 10th house, which means you got a job contract, right? My contract is to run the United States of America. That's my job contract. A breaking of a contract may happen here as well. In other words, Joe just steps down. Now, also, Mars is going to enter into the fourth house, giving fighting spirit on the 23rd to the party of opposition, which is Trump and the Republicans at this point of my recording. And so that's going to add on the 23rd of March to March the 4th, a lot of vim and vigor in the Republican Party, a lot of high spiritedness, a lot of power with a stellium here. And that's Hygeia, the goddess of hygiene and healing. So while all of that is happening, we're expecting a lot of strength. I am in the Republican Party with an exalted Venus opposing, squaring Biden's ascendant. All right. Now, possibly as well, this energy in the sky because of the fact that there was an eclipse to Joe Biden's moon, which sits at 0 degrees of Taurus. Similarly, 0 degrees or so of Taurus is Prince Charles' moon. Moon represents the body as well. And this is a house of like health challenges. It's a house of sickness for Joe Biden. And so that eclipse to his moon on October the 28th, followed by, that was a lunar eclipse, revealing a health problem, shedding a light completion energy, but also Pluto is squaring his moon from early Aquarius, same with King Charles. Both those two are under huge amounts of pressure with these eclipses at the Pluto square. And again, I'm recording this on the day of Biden's State of the Union speech tonight. I haven't heard it. I'm a Canadian. I'm on the sidelines here. But honestly, I'm not expecting it to go well, because there seems to be a huge decline in his cognitive capacity or cognitive health in the last year. And it's visible to everyone. 6 out of 10 Americans in the latest poll think he's not cognitively or mentally fit for the job. That just came out. And, I was saying that about Joe Biden a year ago, and all the Democrats who listened to me got angry at me and tried to prove it otherwise. But now what was evident a year ago is extremely evident again. Okay, so Joe Biden didn't do the Super Bowl speeches for 2 years in a row. They're basically trying to keep him out of public's eye. He just got mixed up with the president of Mexico and the Egyptian president. There's a meme going around, hey, Joe, Gaza doesn't share a border with Mexico kind of thing. So there's a lot going on, right? And this is a definite chart that suggests, even though Venus is a good girl and she's exalted and she brings good things, she's bringing the good things to the opposing party of the ruling party of the United States. So look for big stories here, March 11th, April 4th, about the strength of the Republican Party. Next thing I'd say, when we look at the sky, and I go back to the war again, and then we'll do your sign, more a Middle East story. Israel is a Libra rising. Let me show you that as if we're looking at just a Libra, right? 23 degrees Libra rising. So here we have Israel's Libra rising ascendant. And here we have Mercury, who will retrograde, by the way, April 1st, in the house of the opponents or open enemies. What you're not seeing here, because I didn't want to clutter it, but I will just for this put back a few things. We have Aries, the goddess who created the Trojan War, sitting in Israel's 7th house of open enemies or non-hidden enemies, just so you know, all right? And there we have the North Node Chiron conjunction as well. And in that regard, you can say that Israel's under a big stress point to do with a chironic wound, to do with enemies, right? In 2019, Chiron entered this part of the chart that represents the opponents to the nation of Israel from its birth chart. And there's a chironic wound around the opponents, the adversary or the enemy. Mercury will spend from April till the middle of May going through here. That's a ridiculous long time while he's there in March as well. So mid-March, April, May, we got a long Mercury transit, retrograding. That can be a lot of conversation, talks, negotiations, attempts for peace, treaties, news or whatever. But it can also be propaganda or content of releasing information by the enemy as well. I don't know what it'll be, but it's a lot of talking in Israel's house of open enemies. And with this energy going on here in the sky, when Venus is transiting through the 6th house, she's really not paying attention to either the nation of Israel per se, nor is she really eyeballing at all the 7th house of the open enemies. We call that an aversion. So for her to make a deal for the Israel, she needs to talk to Mars. Mars is track with me here if you're learning astrology. Mars is the Lord or the planetary ruler or of the Aries real estate in Israel's chart. And until Mars meets with Venus, so they can talk about peace, there's probably nothing happening. These two are in an inversion. Then on the 23rd or so of March, Mars joins Venus and they cohabitate the sixth house until April 4th. And just maybe there could be a conversation about peace because Netanyahu's ascendant is here. All right, with Biden's in Sag. The two are like blood brothers or something. And they'll both be squared by the Mars-Venus conversation, looking to resolve a worldly, a devastating Nakba in the Middle East. And I can only imagine if Mars, the god of war, and Venus are hanging out here, lorded over by Jupiter in Venus's sign, the goddess of justice and goodness, there will be attempts at completing a peace brokering of some sort, and with great intensity between March the 23rd and April the 4th. Because Venus exalted in the sign of Pisces will eventually meet with Mars on the 23rd, and the two of them, the god of war and peace, will be together in a sign of dreamy love and higher noble and aspirations, sextiled by Jupiter, the god of justice and courts and peace. That could be like a real injunction from like the ICJ or the United Nations. I don't know, but something's going to try to change here coming up when the god of war meets the god of peace in her exaltation between the 23rd of March and April the 4th, when the two of them are together. And then Venus goes out of that spot into the house of open enemies, into Aries for the nation of Israel. There may be peace, but there's going to be a force for peace. Like, in other words, Venus and Aries after April the 4th, and add 3 weeks, would be the forcing of the hand of the nation of Israel to stop. Yeah, that's what, because it would be a warrior Venus in Aries, like Xena Warrior Princess or Lara Croft Tomb Raider, or I don't know, Angelina Jolie and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the two spies. I mean, Venus is acting very masculine and she's still in her morning star. And it's like there's a bossy boots Venus telling Israel to cease and desist. All right. Lastly, the asteroid America is going to cross the ascendant, like square the ascendant as it moves through Capricorn around the same time of mid-March, March 20th to 23rd. And that's when the United States, if it's ever going to like stop, drop and roll, right? Well, it's not funny with the soldier who burned himself alive in front of the Israeli embassy, the US soldier, but stop, drop and roll. Like, we're out of here. This is it. Like, let's get let's stop this assistance, some kind of change of tone, change of tactic off the USA when the asteroid America is square to the nation of Israel's ascendant descendant axis, right? Now you might go, oh, really? That'll never happen, right? But trust me, anything can happen. This guy, the United States is in a Pluto return. This long-standing Pluto square the nodes of fate that was happening as Pluto was at the end of Capricorn. We are living in unprecedented times. This is like intense insanity, insane intensity. Okay, let's get going and do the all signs. Don't forget, we're going to focus on good stuff for you guys. This isn't about war and peace for you. This is about exaltation and love, in money, in beauty, in harmony, in mystical experiences. We're going to start with Aries, which we always do because Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, and it keeps us in zodiacal order when people come into the live premieres and they're wondering where we are. So if I start with Pisces, they'll think we're done and they'll leave, right? If you want to come to my live premieres, I'm there chatting with you about the astrology. I make 90% of them, so I'm your ally in understanding how astrology works. I love to teach astrology, so I go to these premieres to get to know you and to help answer your questions as we go through the content live. Someone told me for misspeaking lately. I did misspeak recently. I was doing a video about one of the all signs, and I was pointing at the 9th house, and there was a stellium there, and I said 1,000 things about it, but then I actually said I said yes, because the 5th house is a house of higher education, and of course I meant 9th house because I'm doing all of this, and I had to block that person. He started to troll me on every one of my videos. Now, I do misspeak. I do way too much talking to clients today, this morning, than to you to make this recording, and I am 62 almost, and I do have like cognitive decline. I'm not kidding you. So I can't believe I can remember where all the planets are half the time. So please be gentle on me when I make verbal typos. I would appreciate kindness. Thanks. Okay, so this is the Aries first house. And this is what you guys are having going on right now. A lot of energy. You're healing yourself. You're really moving into a time of healing a fundamental wound of selfhood, how you look, how you perceive the world because of Chiron, North Node, but because Chiron's been here since 2019. You're going through a lot, Aries, really sun, moon, and rising. You know, you can listen for your sun for your career, your moon for your body and nest, career, purpose, sun, but the rising sign is always the most accurate delineation. So you Aries are experiencing this energy with great intensity of Chiron North Node. And now we have to talk about Venus. She's been moving now, or will be moving, through the house of your addiction, self-undoing, and self-sabotage. And she loves her pleasures, bed pleasures, sexuality, and foodly pleasures, and anything that brings you pleasure. That's what she loves. She just loves her pleasures. And she's exalted. She could go over the top. But on the other hand, she's coming into contact with Saturn, which is to restrict your pleasures. And there's something about her transit then through this part of the chart where she's meeting with Saturn, right? And Saturn hasn't been here since 1994, 95, 96. And she's suggesting contain and restrain your exalted pleasures. And particularly around March 21st to the 24th, you might have a breakthrough in some way that your pleasures are holding you back. Are you a sex addict? Are you addicted to wine like me? Are you addicted to cigarettes or vapes or whatever? Nice, sweet, kind of contain, restrain, wisdom, sagacity around those matters, and self-sabotage as well, coming through the sky around the 21st to the 24th of March. But just before that, around the 19th of the month, we also notice that she will be in opposition to Juno. And that can look like you're going to have a kind of need to break a vow, break an agreement, break a partnership of some sort connected to work or rental tenancy agreements or pets. And at the same time, with a T-squared to strategic Athena, some of the breakage or the maybe stepping away from a commitment that you've contracted to do is involving strategy regarding foreign shores and foreign lands or legal matters. So there's a bit of tension there. When Mars is joining the fray in your 12th house on the 23rd and meeting with her to hang out till April 4th, though, hey, that's going to be a really good time for you to travel if you want to foreign shores and foreign lands, and have great pleasure from it. Or perhaps what you may experience in that March 23rd to April 4th timeframe is the final straw on an addiction where Mars helps you eliminate it, Venus and Saturn help you stick with it. Addiction, substance, habit, or activity that no longer serves you. And we finish strong at the end of the month with Venus sextile Uranus. Oh, and when Venus is March 21 to 24, meeting with Saturn helping you contain or restrain an addiction or self-sabotaging strategy, she's flowing to Jupiter in the house of what you put in your mouth, right? What you eat. And that looks to me like you're really finding a turning point here so that Jupiter brings you a bounteous goodness. If you're somebody who makes money from foreign shores and foreign lands, then also 21st of March through the 24th can look like a beautiful glow up in your earnings in a very long and stable and lasting way. New structures for greater prosperity emerging March the 21st to the 24th from international income. I'm not going to cover the Venus sextile Uranus and conjunct Neptune because that's all happening at the very end of this, the last week of March and the beginning of April. So stay tuned for more videos from me where we talk about that beautiful time coming up at the end of the month of March and into early April. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Well, how lovely is this to see Venus coming into her exaltation? I know she's over here. Let me move ahead by a day so you don't have to get a headache looking at it. Moving into the sign of her exaltation in your 11th house of good spirit. Now, when she's up here, she is going to bring you great enjoyment of your social groups of friends. This is a time where your exaltation in your friendship circles is happening March 11th to April 4th. Often we make important new friends that are soulmates or karmic friends when you see Saturn up here. Maybe if you're old enough, do you remember any of the new friends you made in 94, 1995, and 1996? They were keepers, right? Because Saturn is your karmic friends, your deep soul friends with Venus up here that will last a lifetime. So there's a new wave of those friends coming in now, this time frame, and also next year as well. So look for new soul friends emerging and deepening of existing friendships. You're bringing them longer lasting legs to live on, stand on. Venus can increase your earnings, a raise, a promotion. She can give you better, celebrity rewards and awards. You could be really celebrated and honored in your profession as Venus moves through this place, as well as you could maybe fall into a romantic love story with somebody you meet in a social group, a large group event, go off to a concert or, an event of some sort, or fall in love with somebody who is a friend or you meet through friendship circles. All that's possible especially for you single Tauruses at this time. During this March 11th to April 4th. One of the things I'm liking here quite a lot for you is that with Venus and Saturn, some friendships that may have been having challenges can be rehabbed or rehabilitated and stabilized during this time. We do note that Venus will create a tension in an opposition to Juno in the house of children and romantic love partners, and that can mean a breaking away from an existing love partnership if it's fragile and not worth your time and energy and it has expired. The strategic goddess is saying if you're breaking away, Taurus, from an existing love relationship, you're looking at the financials and the mutual shared monies in order to make some decisive moves there. Otherwise, you may also have a very intense moment with a child and an agreement with a child about money that's going to be very intense, that's the best word for it, around the 19th, give or take a day of March. Now, we do know that March 21st to the 24th, we're going to see Venus and Saturn touching each other while also flowing to Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a benefic, and this is a mutual reception. They're in each other's house, right? Venus is in Jupiter's house, Jupiter's in Venus's house, and they're really having a good talk with each other. And this can end up looking like a very positive development for you coming through your sky, March 21st to the 24th, a bit around that time, to do with some kind of financial gain. You will be more prosperous because of it, especially if it comes through the field of favors from friends and high places, elder sibling, or work environments. Mars will join Venus up here as well on the 23rd of March. And that means that from the 23rd of March until about April the 4th, you've got the cosmic lovers in the 11th house. That says all. And if you are single, that definitely looks like you could fall into a love affair with your friends with benefits energy, or some friend that you didn't think of as a partner of destiny, suddenly looking like really good. Like, oh, I'm into that person. Or if they realize they're into you. And otherwise, it's just a lot more fun and activity socially than you're normally used to between the 23rd of March and April 4th. And you can cut away some friends that are deadwood here, as Mars allows Venus to do diplomatic friend cuttage or disassociating from groups of belonging in a friendly and harmonious way. I am going to save, the later stuff. I'm telling every sign of Venus, Uranus, and Venus, Neptune between the 27th of March and April 4th for another video, because it's just its own set of goodness. So stay tuned for that. Well, it helps if I'm not going by days, doesn't it? And this is a story where your Venus is in the 10th house, exalted. Every year you get this glow up in your reputation and career, maybe raises, promotions, being liked by the boss, favored, great performance reviews perhaps, but also being popular and publicly appealing to others. This is your diva run every time this happens. So look for that diva run of success and really popular appeal in your career and reputation and visible actions in the world. If you're a student, you're glowing up in your visible actions of being a career student. If you're retired, what are you doing in your retirement? That now you look really good doing it. So March the 11th to April the 4th. You might also socialize a lot more with people involved in your career space and have more fun in your career as well. That aside, the other energy of this exaltation is not last seen in 1994, 95, and 96. Venus is collaborating with Saturn. They get along, actually, because Venus lets Saturn be exalted in her Libra house, right? She gives him VIP treatment there. So Venus coming into the Saturn story here, you need to look at this as a stabilizing, long-lasting, enduring energy. And this is like a repeat next year as well. It's a spring story that started last year. And you want to have enduring success in a lasting legacy way. You want the Saturn to be Venus Saturn, putting you on a career path of deep, long range, long goals, long marathon levels. When I think back to 94, 95, 96, because I had a progress, no, my sun wasn't progressed there, so I can't compare. I have a progressed sun in Gemini. So if you are able to remember your career stories back then, if you're old enough, it's a reset here. And Saturn Venus is also like, your mastery, your authority, your maturity, and your wisdom are called to the highest level possible of expression in your 10th house of career. And you'll be aware of doing that March 11th to April the 4th. Now, Venus will come into a tension aspect on the 19th of March. I always want to bracket that by a day or two to Juno, and you may break a contract, a vow, or agreement with somebody in the home, from your home, or to do with land, home, and real estate, especially around rental agreements, only because Mars will get into the fray on the 23rd of March, and he rules your sixth house of tenancy and rental agreements. So you may break the agreement, or an agreement may need to be broken regarding a rental agreement contract or of some sort. Or maybe because Saturn's involved and he rules your house of banking and mortgages, a property agreement breaking apart as well, to do with buying and selling. And we're looking at the 19th of March. Vows you made in your childhood. I'm going to get a little mystical for you. Vows you made in your childhood are coming to a critical turning point. Now, you might notice there's a kite here, but I'm doing a whole video on that kite because it's too special. So stay tuned for that kite story. I can't wait to talk about that on March the 13th. But there is just it just happens to be showing because I'm queued for March the 13th. Let me move away from that because I know it's going to make people's eyeballs go all googly. And I don't want you to say, why are you not talking about the kite? Because we're actually moving past the kite. We're moving into bigger stories. There's the 19th. Okay. So I would say to you, I'm on the wrong sign. You're looking at the potential once Mars enters the fray. Okay, so we got tension, breaking a contract, breaking agreement, breaking childhood contracts and vows, whatever those stories were when you're a kid that are holding you back because you took on beliefs from your family origin or suggestions for you that no longer serve you. You might break away from those as well. But you can see, especially with Jupiter here, really breaking ancestral and karmic vows during the month of April to do with family of origin junk, but as it affects your purpose and career. But as well, lastly, when Mars is going to enter here, which is the 23rd, this is going to open up a possibility of significant change in your career direction. Just because we also have Venus, the 23rd of March to April the 4th, in her exaltation. And she may move you in a new direction that's very powerfully better than what you've been doing already. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. Better than what you've been doing already. And Mars here also can just get you to drive and be passionate and really engage, but also enjoy your passion and engagement and enjoy the amount of work you're doing, particularly between March the 23rd and April the 4th. Like you're driving and you're working hard and you're passionate, but you may be also feeling very powerful and exalted in your career. Finally, just remembering that, March 21st to the 24th, Venus will be sitting with Saturn, but flowing to Jupiter, greater financial gain from international borderless income and revenue through exalted career success, or opportunities in your career and connected to your career to travel and journey and pilgrimage even to far off shores and lands, or opportunities to dispense with any self-undoing, sabotaging habits and patterns with ease and glow as you make significant career headway, and also maybe changes in your career direction in the month of, during the March 11th to April 4th transit of Venus through your fourth house. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. This is an energy where you get to experience the yearly transit of Venus through your ninth house of God. This is higher education, courts and legal matters, book publishing industry, publications, wisdom, knowledge, sacred knowledge, parchment scrolls, libraries, churches, religions, spirituality, faith, and dharma. Is that enough? Third marriages. Well, Venus is giving you an exaltation glow up in your ninth house. Nothing to complain about here. However, she also is, as she moves through this part of your sky, connecting with Lord Saturn, not seen since 1994, 95, and 96. What were you doing in 1994, 95, and 1996? Because Venus is coming into contact with the god of constraint and restraint, there may be some need to also legitimately structure or restrain or contain something you're doing in that ninth house. It is a bit of a dharma house, which makes it very slippery in the sense it's a metacosmos between the worlds. It's a spiritual house. It may feel like a lot of inner work to do with what your soul wants you to do to align with your purpose in life. And you're looking for wisdom, sage-like knowledge. That's mastery and authority. That's all Saturn connected to Venus. Do you really enjoy what you're doing? So some of you Cancers are asking that question. If you are trying to publish a book, you're looking for a traditional publisher with Saturn there through to 2026, and Venus is giving you a window of time where you might get your perfect agent or editor or book publishing deal, March the 11th to April the 4th. On April the 19th, we're going to see the energy here of Venus opposite Juno. What kind of contract is being challenged? What kind of enduring agreement, a vow may be coming to a challenge point around the 19th of the month from the third house of writing. Now, Venus opposing something in her exaltation doesn't always mean a bad thing, but because it could be an exalted writing deal or an exalted educational deal or getting accepted at your favorite university or something like that. But we also have the square to Athena, making that T-square very active, and therefore could you possibly be coming into a critical turning point regarding work, health matters, or money and debt matters, as it connects to siblings or travel or higher education or spiritual philosophy. Athena could kind of say she wants you to be strategic with your money, debt, what you owe. And Athena could also say, let's be really strategic around things to do with our home as it applies to rental agreements. And, and the reason I'm bringing that up is she's sitting there in the house of rental agreements, and she is in a sextile to the South Node. So what do you need to change or let go of in the home and home environment strategically that allows you to thrive in your visible career and reputation? And there's a lot going on where you're looking to answer those questions around the 19th of the month. Then Mars will enter into your zone with Venus of your ninth house. Now, Mars, by the way, if you are a Cancer and you have children, Venus going through your ninth house, March 11th to 4th, April 4th, could be the announcement of a grandchild on the way, just so you know. But when Mars enters the ninth house as well, that's travel often. He loves those adventures. Venus is exalted. You may be planning a trip, making decisions, Mars's decisions, and taking planning action between March the 23rd and April the 4th for an exalted trip. Venus does rule in your chart people you grew up with from your family of origin. She often rules friends and sisterhoods. So sisterhoods, friends, family of origin peoples could be planning a trip with those characters March 23rd to April the 4th, or taking that trip March 23rd to April 4th, or planning that trip. If you want to do a pilgrimage, if you want to do a sacred journey, Venus exalted in the house of God with Mars joining in, either take or plan a sacred journey pilgrimage. That's definitely on the books for you guys, March 23rd, okay, to April 4th. When March 21st to 24th comes along, Venus will collide with Saturn, but at the same time will be flowing to Jupiter. And that time frame, let's just make it a little broader maybe, because the conjunction is exact on the 21st. So let's make it a little bit more like, I'm going to change my notes for you guys. I mean, I can even say you feel it from the 18th to the 24th. So like from the 18th to the 24th, you're coming into a time where what seems to be going on is some determination and responsible decisions that could be percolating for you about what you want to do. Ninth house, Mars is going to join the fray. In your 11th, with your 11th house matters, because Jupiter's trying to give you some glow ups in your reputation and career space. From here, he's giving you awards, rewards, greater financial gains, maybe passive income sometimes can come from the pennies from heaven, can also like a passive income thing. And you're getting a focus on those stories. But this is also the house of a benefactor, an ally, someone who wants to help you, or an elder sibling. So an elder sibling, benefactor, or ally is really crunching into your story March 18th to the 24th in a flowing and positive way with that mutual reception from Venus. And you may have a financial uplift, and it may involve legal matters, educational settings, book publishing, or foreign shore travel. Looking for those stories to become evident to you, I hope, March 18th to the 24th. I'll be doing a separate video for March 27th to April the 4th when we have the Neptune-Uranus story connected to Venus. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. What we've got going on in our sky is Venus traveling through your 8th house. This is a chunky money house. And by chunky, I mean you don't earn the income. It's often shared monies, investments, banking, credit cards, mortgages, inheritances, money shares with a business partner or spousal partner. Those monies are getting a glow up for Leos. Those monies are increasingly yay you, but in a way you haven't seen since 94, 95, 96, because Venus is with Saturn this time, and that hasn't happened since way back then. So what kind of financial increase did you experience? You may have felt constricted and constrained a bit, though, since last year, and Saturn leaves here in 2026. And you may have been feeling cautious, anxious, or constrained around your long-range money, your investments, your 401k, your money that you have to make money with, basically. But Venus is trying to support you here and increase your success in that area. Shared resources with a partner can also get glowed up, especially a love partner. Now, committed love partner. Now, we do have tension with Venus around the 19th, give or take a day of March. She will be in an opposition to Juno in your earnings house. This is like Juno retrograde. This has to do with money and earnings and contracts and agreements that are either going backwards or from the past. And you may have experienced this kind of tension in the sky around the difference between your woohoo, a chunky money, and your earnings money being very evident to you, like you've got some sky stories to look at, and how to strategically work your long-range money and your money that you possess or earn or give or spend, second house, with children or a romantic partner or entrepreneurial endeavors. So all of those are very on the focus of your radar on the 19th. You may have to come to a strategic arrangement with a child around money, a strategic arrangement with a lover around money, a strategic arrangement with your own long-term money goals and your entrepreneurial and creative endeavors. And then on the 18th to the 24th, we come into a period of time where Venus is with Saturn conjuncting, as well as sextiling Jupiter in a mutual reception. Long story short, some success in your career, allowing for some greater gains in your money house, or some secret things you're doing behind the scenes financially that begin to really show up as benefiting you in your career and reputation, the 18th to the 24th of March. As well, you can see that you're going to experience during this storyline the energy of, drum roll please, Mars, on the 23rd. And when Mars enters there on the 23rd of March and was co-present with Venus through until the 4th of April, that can look like separation or division of monies connected to themes of love. So some of you may be looking at connecting to separating money from a marriage partner in an end of a relationship as a result of this, or from a business partnership agreement. And I don't think marriage partner has to be legal. Somebody you just want to get your blankie back because you left it in their house after living together for 2 years, okay? So it doesn't have to be a legal marriage. It looks like you may want your possessions back, and you're negotiating deals to get your stuff back at the end of a relationship for some of you Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign people. Okay, moving into the next sign. I think I'm getting ready for halfway break. So especially rising, Venus is exalting or glowing up your 7th house of partnerships, business partnerships, main love partnerships, clients, audience, marketplace, outreach. The 10th house from your 10th house is the 7th. It's where you reach out to people, right? The fan club, the audience, the marketplace for your products or endeavors. This is a glow up every year, but this is a glow up of a magnitude and a different quality last seen in 1994, 95, and 96, when Saturn was also co-present in Pisces. Saturn here is saying, like, do you want to be with that person? Like, is that your person? Are you going to marry this person? You want to stay in that business partnership or that career partnership? Are you sure? Are you sure those friends are the ones you want to keep? This is what Saturn does when he goes through that seventh house. He's got a really hard ass approach, a taskmaster. And he's saying, is this going to sustain itself, or do I need to break it down, or do I need to grim reap it? So a lot of you are in that kind of threshing, grim reaping of major relationships. And if you're an early born, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, and the first 10 degrees of Virgo with those placements. Of course, Saturn's been all over you last year. And then next year, it's the middle placements, 10 to 20. And then in 2025, well, now we're in the middle placements, right? 10 to 20 degrees of Virgo. And then next year in 2025, the 10 to 29 degrees of Virgo, you're feeling the Grim Reaper going over the point that represents committed marriage, committed business partnerships, and long-term friendships. So there are cuttings going on for a lot of you, right? If you make it through a Saturn transit through your seventh house, then you'll have legs to stand on. It is a solid and foundational building transit. And sometimes you want to make it traditional, like you live in hippy dippy and you're going to get married. That can happen with Saturn here. Now, Venus is exalting the story, bringing a breath of fresh air to your major love and business relationships and the outreach to your audience and partners. And Venus is going to do that, as I said, March 11th to April the 4th. On the 19th, there's a big tension, give or take a day on either side, a few days on either side, as she opposes Juno, right? The goddess of committed vows in business and love and friendship and marriage, yeah, and squaring Athena, the strategic goddess of war and victory and courage and war. And the war is in the domestic environment of your home. Saturn is a ruler of your sixth house of work and also tenancies and rentals. So he's in the mix. Venus is connected to money issues in your chart with the South Node. There can be some extraordinary stress in a relationship here to do with finances, with a marriage type partner or business partner, or to do with agreements and strategy about how you do something in and from your home, or even about differing opinions on rental agreements. It's a bit of an interesting dynamic because you're seeing the world through the lens of Juno. She's in the house of you. Juno was a long-suffering wife of Jupiter, and sometimes when she goes through the house of you, you will stick with a person, a situation, a relationship, a job far too long, and you need to leave and you haven't left. And so this can put you face to face with the question, have I stayed too long? So this is a Venus transit because of Saturn's placement that takes on that character March 11th to April the 4th. If you're in a relationship, this is true. If not, you can meet someone new March the 11th to April 4th. It will be someone with an age difference, more likely Saturn, and something that could last and go the distance and have a big karmic element to it. And so there's that too. I like this for singletons because Venus is coming into the soulmate contact with Jupiter. Saturn is karmic and long lasting. So single Virgos looking for love. If you meet somebody March 11th, April 12th, you're baking in a very positive degree placement for Venus. Now, we do know that on the 18th of March to the 24th, you're coming into a zone of time in which what you're going to encounter is a vibe of Venus flowing to Jupiter while also touching Saturn. This is going to open up opportunities for long distance foreign land travel with a significant business or love partner. This is going to open up superior educational or legal or court matter opportunities and contractual and superior agreements regarding books and book publishing. All said and done, it also puts you into a place of deeper alignment with spiritual philosophy, especially as it relates to significant people in your life and being aligned with their own philosophies and yours and matching each other's. And Jupiter up here can be some kind of prosperity coming to you legally through a father or father figure in a surprising way. Like they really delight you, perhaps. Again, when? March 18th to the 24th. Oh, yeah, exactly. When Mars enters on the 23rd into your seventh house, if there's any need to get rid of a relationship that is not working, get ready to see that happen. Mars snips, cuts, and severs. He's going to be there for 6 weeks, but it's during the Venus exaltation. that I think we're going to make decisions that are wise and true. And you or your partner making those decisions to cut out, bow out, or leave the relationship could happen in a way that's meant to be March the 11th to April the 4th. Oh, sorry, March the 23rd to April the 4th, because you have both Mars and Venus in your 7th house. All right, one more, and I'm taking a chocolate break. I'm hungry, guys. Or maybe I'm hangry. It's like the combination of hungry and angry or whatever. Frustrated, need food, need chocolate. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Here we have Venus moving through her exaltation on the yearly, this time March the 11th to April 4th in your 6th house of work, pets, work routines, health matters, things to do with your attendance, your rental agreements, and you get glow up here, basically. Because 1994, 95, 96, we also had Saturn here, and we have him again here last year, this year, and next year. It has a quality of reliving the stories of Venus, Saturn's stuff. 94, 95, 96. What was going on there? Pets, tenancies, rental agreements, debts, work, and health matters. Job, employer-employee relationships are on the upswing. It's good for getting a raise or a promotion, or ideal for applying for a new job when Venus is here March 11th to April the 4th. Or you're getting a lot of love in the colleague, co-worker space. Or your health is improving, especially with Hygeia here. Some significant health improvements for you as well. Venus will come into some difficult sky as she opposes Juno and squares Athena. Around the 19th of the month, give or take some days on either side, 19th of March. You may have to break an agreement, or you may have to really look more squarely or more opposingly at an agreement, a vow, or a contract you made to a foreign entity, a foreign company, a foreign person, or to yourself. If you made an agreement, say, to quit vaping or quit weed or quit some addiction. And Venus loves her pleasures, and she's trying to improve your health. So you're looking at your agreements you might have made in that regard, and you're squaring Athena. And Athena is like, I got some strategic weapons of war here to help you have victory from the 3rd house of trips and travel and siblings and cousins and uncles. So there's a lot of tension in the sky around those matters on the 19th. You may want to break a vow regarding a career, a career or job story that has too much travel for you. For example, that would be a simple way of delineating that. But there's some tension there as well. 3rd house can involve also things to do with writing projects and things to do with travel projects or travel plans. And you might strategically have to make some significant changes on March the 19th. But it can involve agreements and partnerships with people in foreign places, and some strategic tension with those partners coming up on the 19th of the month. Then Venus comes into contact with Saturn while also sextiling Jupiter in a mutual reception. Beautiful energy, March 18th to the 24th. This can look like March 18th to the 24th that you're trying to make some significant adjustments in a positive way regarding stock market investments, bank loans, mortgages. And you may even be making some significant changes that are positive and productive and profitable if it involves things that have to do with land, property, and real estate, right? Because Saturn owns your 4th house, and we got Ceres, meaning sometimes this looks like selling a property. Some of you may be selling a property or choosing to sell a property, but in a prosperous way, full of good energy, or make a change in a rental agreement, or change your rental agreements and move to a new property, or sign a new rental agreement, or something like that. That's also very good for your long-range finances. Yeah, that is happening on March 18th to the 24th. We'll cover the March 27th and later April 2nd Uranus and Neptune stories on a separate video, because they're just their own juicy goodness, and it will take me too long to keep going. I'm going to stop the share. Oh, it's getting dark in here. I'm going to grab some chocolate, and I shall return. Give me a minute. All right, guys, let's keep rolling and get this show on the road. I'm going to a float house for a float today, and I need to make sure that I get there in time. So let's keep moving. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Venus is doing her yearly move through your Piscean 5th house of children. This is a fertility transit between March 11th and April the 4th. Watch out for pregnancy for you or your partner. If you want pregnancy, it's great. If you don't, watch out. It's great for new romance. Anything you start up as a new romance, March 11th to April 4th, you're going to love it. But also, we have Saturn here. And this has also been in your romantic and love house, house of children, house of creativity, entrepreneurship, and art since last year, leaves in 2026. You want to go back to 1994, 1995, 1996 if you were old enough, and remember how it felt to have Saturn here and Venus joining Saturn on the yearly, stabilizing long-term love, but also bringing new love to people that may be involved in your life because they are of a significant age difference or a very karmic relationship, but also solid, lasting love, enduring love. So if you start a relationship new under this energy, it can take a lot of pressure to end that relationship because it's baking in this solid, lasting love energy from a place of exaltation. Love is hard, but love endures. Love lasts because you make it work. This fifth house of your children, however, if you have adult children, also gives them a glow up, and you, or even young children. It's good news for your kids, and you get to feel the feel goods of their blessings as Venus moves through your fifth house. Venus is going to do a bit of a tension angle on the 19th of March, give or take a day on either side, when she opposes Juno and squares Athena. That's called a T-square. You may come into a crisis here regarding a romantic relationship and a friendship, regarding a career matter and an entrepreneurial matter, regarding a creative project and agreements with a friend. Maybe even a tension here with the word marriage, like the word marriage, the goddess of marriage, and a romantic partner. Like someone wants to get married, the other one doesn't, maybe. But squaring is strategic. Athena in a money house, there can also be some disagreements and need to really be more strategic with money plans, and the word marriage. My son is getting married. He's a Scorpio rising. And I can see that being a disagreement with his beloved about how much money they're going to spend on wedding stuff. And that kind of thing coming up on the 19th of March. Now, a little bit around the same time, March the 18th to the 24th, we begin to feel Venus is a closer approach to Saturn. And as she's approaching Saturn and docking with Saturn on the 18th to the 24th, she's also in a flow to Jupiter called a mutual reception. This is going to open up some really lucky breaks here. This is a money luck house. This is Venus in the house of her joy, in a money luck house. Some surprising positive money luck opportunities coming through your relationship, your marriage partnership, or legal contracts and deals. If you are an artist, your art is going into a new level of acceptance in the public, especially if you use YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram Reels because of Neptune. And you might have a viral hit or a breakthrough anytime between the 18th of March and the 24th. And also, finally, if you want to look at your relationship from the lens of contractual agreements and love, there's a lot going on here where you may up-level an existing relationship to, say, moving in together or marriage or some other positive expression of commitment between March 18th and the 24th that you both feel mutually joyful about. And you may get a legal contract that surprises you around a job, entrepreneurial business, or creative project as well, March the 18th to the 24th. Okay. Anything else? I would also mention that, the Saturn here is literally saying, work hard in your love, work hard in your creative endeavors, work hard to get pregnant. So keep that in mind. You've got that till 2026, and Venus gives it a yearly exaltation, glow up. It's most auspicious this year because of the mutual reception to Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. What you've got going on here is you've got Venus in her yearly movement, March 11th to April 4th, through her exaltation sign in your fourth house of homeland, property, real estate. Quite often, this leads people to hire an interior designer, buy some luxury furniture, improve the beauty of their home, invite a friend into your home and enjoy their company, or have more sociability and more social activities in your home, March 11th to April the 4th. However, this is also a financially beneficial transit as well, and sometimes it can lead someone to sell a home and get an exalted price, for example, March the 11th to April the 4th, or to rent a property out or to rent a property as a tenant and get an exalted agreement, a great price, a great home, an unbelievable result. And lastly, Potentially, sometimes Venus here can mean money coming to you from your family of origin, including legacy wealth or inheritances. Not always, just sometimes. Now, Venus will come into a gnarly opposition to Juno, the goddess of commitments and agreements. And that squaring in a T-square Athena, how can you be more strategic around career agreements and commitments and obligations that you've committed to, and make the strategic, victorious decisions that are necessary in order to accomplish, ideally, a balance between some obligations and commitments in the workhouse and what's happening here in your fourth house of home, land, and real estate and property. I mean, Saturn's in the mix, and he is like lasting love, enduring love, but he's also agreements to do with travel as well. Your third house can be involved, and you may have some strategic need to change travel plans, even just for example, around the 19th of March, but give or take a few days on either side to give it some space there. Then we move into March 18th to the 24th, when Venus is coming into contact with Saturn and also flowing to Jupiter in a mutual reception. So, Venus and Jupiter in each other's houses have to work together like a hotline, right, to each other, and they're helping each other. And so there's some really significant blessings here for a lot of Sagittarius risings, especially Sun and Moon, secondarily, to do with property, land, real estate, debt, rentals, work situations, like getting your boss to agree to let you work from home, changing your homes to a better environment for your work, getting a rental agreement that's like bar none the best thing you've ever done, or being a landlord and finding your perfect tenant, getting a pet. Sure, why not? Jupiter, surprise pet opportunity in the house of domestic animals, helper animals flowing to Venus. In the ancient tradition, this is the animals that would help you around the house, right? Today we just pet the dog, but the dog could have pulled the dog sled, or the dog could have, defended the home, right? So there's animals and people collaborated in, what do you call it? Synergistic. There's another word I want. Mutually reinforcing help for each other, right? And there's another word, I can't think of it. Cats got the mice out of the barn and the house. Dogs protected the house. You know what I'm saying? So these kinds of ally animals, you could get a new animal, sudden, surprisingly, a new pet coming your way, hopefully not just a goldfish, can occur March the 11th, April 4th. You want to go back to 94, 95, 96, when Saturn was also co-present with Venus in your fourth house. This is not totally the same because we got Neptune there. It's always different. But there are certain things to do with homeland, property, and real estate, and sort of hardship, but also exaltation. What were you doing in 95, 94, 95, 96 regarding homeland and property matters, because this may be back again in a similar way. And then we move into the idea of Mars in the 23rd of March, entering your fourth house and staying there with Venus until April 4th. That can look like exalted travel from the home with friends or people you like, or beautiful travel to maybe somewhere that you truly enjoy and that you're really excited about, the 23rd of March to April the 4th. On the other hand, quite possibly here, you may also make some big changes in the home when Mars is here with Venus, like a wholesale gut the kitchen or renovate the home, or make the decisions to do that. March the 23rd to April the 4th. If you have any disagreements with anyone in your home, and when Mars is here, Venus will help smooth it over, just so you know. But there may be some upsets there, between March 23rd and April 4th, and Venus is still there to help soothe it up and smooth it over and heal it and work it out together. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Venus is doing her yearly exaltation dance through your Pisces waters. Maybe we should say she's doing her lap swim. She got here March the 11th and will leave April the 4th. And during her transit through your third house, it often looks like pleasurable activities with siblings, cousins, nieces, and nephews, younger siblings in particular. Pleasurable and joyful activities in the neighborhood, in your local environment. Lots of joy and pleasure, exalted pleasure. But trips and travel and learning belong here. So exalted opportunities to learn something, skills-based learning, sign up for a course, maybe some exalted travel opportunities as well. Those travel opportunities, again, are all the way through March 11th to April 4th. It doesn't mean you have to take the trip then, and you could, but it also means that you could even plan that trip. But it's something to do with the possibility of those travel opportunities emerging. And if you're entrepreneurial, sometimes Venus here can open up some entrepreneurial opportunities. We'll be getting to that in a minute. And if you're an artist or writer, this is exalting your writing and your creative projects, especially. Okay. Now, Venus is also going to come into a difficult opposition to the goddess of committed love and contracts in the house of third marriages, legal matters, churches, religious philosophy, academic environments. Some of you may be making a break or a disagreement of great magnitude. With Venus, Saturn, it's almost like tough love. You want to deliver tough love to committed partners in academics, book publishing, foreign travel, and third marriages, like a third long-term committed love. And you want to make this tough love stance maybe. But if it's about education, you're maybe looking at decisions and contractual agreements around educational matters. And you want to be strategic around the 19th of March, give or take 3 days on either side. You want to take a strategic position, especially if it involves visas, passports, legal matters around travel to foreign countries, long distance travel. This is very big on your radar a few days before and after March 19th. Now, you got to remember that having Saturn and Venus together in your third house last happened in 1994, 95, and 96. Go back to that time of your life to look for similar themes playing out. See if you can make a case for this repeating itself to some measure. Now, we want to note the good stuff, and that is that Venus will come into that beautiful flow while she's joining with Saturn to Jupiter in the fifth house, which is the house of her joy. And so there's something really lovely trying to occur March 18th to the 24th with this Venus transit that really very much looks like some kind of romantic trip perhaps being engineered, some kind of leisure romantic trip being taken or organized. What were the dates again? Well, March 18th to the 24th. Your children are in the mix. Venus is talking to the house of children. It's interesting conversations or developments regarding a child could be occurring here. And maybe they've got some surprising good news and you're receiving that adult child's good news, for example, March 18th to the 24th, through email, phone calls, or text messages. These can all be third house delivery mechanisms. And if you want to take a class or learn something that's right in alignment with your natural gifts and talents, the doors open double wide March 18th to 24th for that kind of thing. Jupiter is a fertility transit here. Some Capricorns with a sextile to Venus could get pregnant on a trip or find out they got pregnant from that trip. So be careful or enjoy that possibility March 18th to the 24th. Later in the month, of course, we'll be talking about Venus surprise and the Neptune content as well. And again, a surprise pregnancy. I mean, you could get pregnant. I'm not kidding you. You just listen to this because you might want to know it. March 18th and 24th, you or your partner could get pregnant and find out, surprise, that you're pregnant March 27th, 28th. I mean, there's a lot going on here, by the way. Okay. What else is happening? Mars is moving into your third house with Venus, co-present between March 23rd and April 4th. That's a travel signature or a decision or plan for travel or some kind of cutting, severing around sibling relationships, but in a benefic, harmonious, and positive way. If you're going to travel, if that is an occasion for travel or planning a trip between March 23rd and April the 4th, that trip is going to also connect you in some way to matters to do with friends as benefactors and allies or an elder sibling. And there's a possibility of traveling in some way connected to an elder sibling coming through the sky here between March the 23rd and April the 4th, or with a friend, a good friend who is a benefactor and an ally for you. All right, Aquarius, I am one of you. And here we have the story of exalted Venus moving through our earnings house and our possessions and our voice and our vocation and what we put in our mouth, our second house, what we eat. She loves her pleasures. It's not an easy transit for avoiding that Haagen-Dazs or whatever nachos with spices that I would prefer. So you're going to like have a definite exalted desire for good things to eat. This is true between March 11th and April 4th, and you'll earn more money. But with Saturn here, it's about structure, discipline, perseverance. It's like, and containment. So while you may have a desire for greater oral pleasures, Saturn is helping keep a lid on it a bit and helping you structure those pleasures in a healthy way. So I'm doing the wine lover's middle way, for example. It could very well be that March 11th to April 4th, I've got a handle on the word middle way, right? Venus here is about your speech sounding more beautiful, the way you talk sounding more convincing or persuasive. It's really good for earnings, but sometimes Venus here allows us to buy a possession. With Saturn, like if you buy a sofa, it's like a legacy sofa, it'll never die on you. It's an Ethan Allen or something. It's sturdy as all hell. But you might buy a possession during this transit for your home because of where Jupiter sits. Be a significant purchase, but it would be a positive one. March the 11th to April 4th. Now, Venus here with Saturn not seen since 94, 95, 96. What? Stabilization of your earnings, 94, 95, 96, with an exalted amount of pleasure did you happen to have? I started doing in 94, 95, 96, my psychic readings business. Word of mouth built the business over time, and it was very successful. It led me to a BBC documentary from remote viewing and NBC affiliate show and a bunch of other little mini micro fames that happened way back in the day, but also increase in my income. So, but stable, steady, Taurus wins the race energy in increments over time. And Venus keeps diving in and saying, do you love it? Are you having fun? Is it working for you? She'll bring you exalted money, but she wants you to enjoy the ride. So this is a story that you're coming to terms with Saturn Venus during March 11th to April the 4th. You can improve your face. This is really good for like dental work that looks cosmetic. Cosmetic procedures connected to the face and particularly the lower half of the face, the jaw down here. So keep that in mind. So I often go to jaw and dental issues when I see the Venus transit through the second. So facial improvement. And beautification, maybe a new makeup routine, Now, when Venus is here, she's going to come into a contact in an opposition to the goddess of commitment. Sometimes Juno can act like money, though, moneta, the coinage. So there may be a crucible, a turning point regarding earnings versus your long-range money and strategy. This can include taxes, which I'll be dealing with, taxes, debts, banks, loans, mortgages, investments, strategies, commitments around money and agreements with others around your long-range monies, and needing to be strategic and having to face the music in a strategic, tough love way about how you're going to open up this question mark around money stuff as it connects to 11th house matters. 11th house matters are the great gains from your career, and you need to be strategic with those gains in your reputation, in your rewards, in your red carpet moments. What strategy do you need to apply to the larger gains that you make and make it work for you, not only in control of spending, which Saturn's doing, but also in the increase in your longer range money that you invest or that you use in terms of, like, say, retirements and stuff like that. That's March the 19th, give or take a couple days. Then March 18th to the 24th, Venus is snuggling up with Saturn and flowing to Jupiter. It's all kind of overlapping a bit. And that snuggly flow up, glow up is about home, property, land, and real estate. Now, Saturn Venus is being really serious, sober-minded, and realistic, talking to Jupiter in the house of where you live and your land and your property and your real estate and your home. And so you're making some major choices or decisions or actions around spending and home. But Jupiter is flowing back to Venus and mutual reception. They're in each other's house. So all said and done, March 18th and 24th is looking really good on things to do with money and home. If you work from home like I do, I'd say I'm making more money from home. I'm prospering from home. I'll be rolling out my Skyreader tuition cart then, and maybe it's going to look really good. And I'll be really happy. Jupiter means teaching from home. Jupiter exalts your sixth house of rental and tenancies and debts, and possible a new amazing rental tenancy agreement opportunity is emerging, and you have the money to go for it and to level up. or save money on a better deal. And finally, Venus connected to Jupiter, connected to your sixth house, could be also just for you guys, an opportunity to spend money on a beautiful new animal that you wish to bring into your home, called a pet. Okay. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. What we do is we see the Venus transit through the house of you every year. This is March 11th, April 4th. You last saw this, last year, same time of year, roughly the same time of year, next year, but not with Saturn co-present. Saturn co-present with Venus in the house of you, which Pisces had happened for you before, 1994, 95, and 96, each spring. Those are the years where you were becoming more serious and realistic and responsible about something in your life. And Venus was giving you a good feeling about that realism and that responsibility and that wisdom that you were trying to embody. She will make you feel more beautiful, make you feel good about being you. Really good time for a haircut, a wardrobe change, just feeling exalted in your identity and feeling good about being yourself. But as she moves through here, because she's got Saturn there, you're doing everything in a measured, incremental, and slow way. Nothing is overnight. You're not going to suddenly shave your hair and get a mohawk. You're not going to suddenly go from your favorite loungewear to a Chanel suit, but you're moving the needle forward somehow in terms of how it is you can celebrate and honor the exaltation of your beauty, your kindness, your popularity, and just your love of yourself in a good, healthy way, not narcissism. You're healing your body with Hygeia here, so you're into like a lot of self-healing, and you're doing some of the self-healing in a dreamy, visionary, mystical way. You're getting in touch with the mystic within you. Now, when Venus is here this time, she's also going to come into, around the 19th of the month, a T-square. As she opposes Juno, this is around the 19th, give or take a day on either side. And you might have a very difficult disagreement with a partner in love, like a marriage type partner, a business partner, or some kind of showdown with a client or audience member, because you are opposing the contract goddess herself, the vows for commitment. And you may not feel so like you want to commit because Saturn is a grim reaper, and you may be wanting to break away from a longer term commitment, friendship, client, audience, marketplace situation. And in your career space, Athena, the goddess of victory and war, but also strategic decisions and wisdom and knowledge, is saying, be wise, strategic, and knowledgeable about career and reputation decisions as it connects to your audience, marketplace, business partner, or marriage type partner. You might want to break a legal agreement in a career setting, like quit a job, for instance, or breach of contract, for example. Now, Saturn and Venus are coming together between the 18th of March and the 24th. And their joining forces will flowing to Jupiter in your third house of trips, travel, educational, skills-based educational, teaching or learning. And also, third house matters can connect you very strongly to a sibling, especially younger, and neighbors and neighborhood. These things are, and travel and trips, these things are in a great state of flow because Venus is talking to Jupiter in her house, and he's talking to Venus in his house, and they're in a hotline to each other. You have some exalted, beautiful opportunities for travel, skills-based learning, connection with travel and siblings, younger and older, being planned, orchestrated, or organized anytime between March 18th to 24th, or perhaps a journey that is taken. And some of that travel may involve seeing your children if they're grown and adult, because Jupiter exalts the house of your children. So even travel that involves connecting with children, or children traveling to you, or sibling travel, highly on the radar for you March the 18th to the 24th. If you want to take a course, enroll in a course, things are going to go very well. You're going to be like getting the perfect course enrollment or the perfect travel plans operational March 18th to the 24th. Mars moves into co-presence with Venus on the 23rd through to April 4th, the 23rd of March to April. 23rd of March to April the 4th, with Mars also connecting to the story. You're making decisions, you're taking actions, you're being on your game. As soon as Mars gets there, it's like, I make a decision, I take an action, I cut things, I sever, I cut. So a lot of the stuff really heats up on the 23rd of March. Plan the trip, commit to the trip, take the trip, organize the trip, cut off that work situation, blow away that partner. As soon as Mars goes into the house of you may cut away from long-term committed stories that no longer serve you in love and business, all right, or friendship. And Mars will say, probably say between March the 23rd and April 4th, let's cut away, but let's do it in a diplomatic, harmonious way that, everybody can feel good about this, work or friendship or career or relationship coming to an end. All right, so I've got that. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks, Pisces, for listening. Sun and Moon. The two crows are on the wire. We call them Hugh and Moo for Odin's crows. Odin had two crows, right? And I think they were white, but then they turned black when something bad happened in the Odin myth. I'm taking a picture because we were feeding these guys. They had babies in the nest next door, and they would come down and bop me on the head and my partner James gently, and they never hurt us. They were really sweet, very gentle with us, and they were part of our fam, and I think they're back. I guess they know where we live. They hear my voice. He's looking right at me through the window. Hi, Hugh. Hi, Moo. Hugin and Mugen or whatever. All right. Thanks. I'm wearing crow black today. All right. Thanks for listening. Please like, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I didn't even put enough makeup on to cover my nose today because I get that like T-zone red. And that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful Venus exaltation. My next video is going to be the eclipse of Libra eclipse coming up on March the 25th at 10 degrees of Libra. I'm going to go into a deep dive about that. Stay tuned for that reading. It's coming up. These are my Venus earrings. I always wear them when Venus is doing something cool. Venus exaltation by my friend Milena. Goddess Co-Treasures. I'll put a link to her jewelry. It's all custom made and custom designed in my description box for you in case you want to see what she's up to. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao.